Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our virtual Dirshu Berurah here. So we are holding in Berurah Chelik Hey. We are continuing to learn Hilchas Pesach. Today's for the Dirshu is Tzadik Hey Amud Aleph, and we are continuing to learn Hilchas Pesach. We are in Siman Tuf Pei Tes. We pick up today in the middle of Sif Aleph, and we're continuing the halachas of Sefiras HaOmer, the counting of the Omer. So we had mentioned in Share on Thursday night that when we count the Omer, we have to count both the days and the weeks. And the Mechaber gave us over here an example, and he said that you start counting from Yomi Echad ba'Omer, Ad Shemagia l'Shiva. I'm reading on the bottom of Tzadik Daled Amud Beis, Ad Shemagia l'Shiva Yamim, until you reach the point where you have 7 days. V'az Yomar, then you say Hayom Shiva Yamim. Today is 7 days, Shehem Shavua Echad ba'Omer, which is 1 day in the Omer. So by doing this, we count days and weeks. And we said in the Mishnah that that's derived from the pasuk. The pasuk mentions both days and weeks. Now the Mechaber continues on the top of Tzadik Hey Amud Aleph. Uvayom Shemini, on the 8th day of the Omer, Yomar, you say Hayom Shmoina Yamim. Today is 8 days. Shehem Shavua Echad, which is 1 week, V'yom Echad, and 1 day ba'Omer. V'chein, and similarly, Ad sheyagia la'arba asar, until you get up to 14 days. At that point, you'll say Hayom Arba Asar Yamim. Now, it's interesting to note over here that the Mechaber says Yamim, plural, and the Mishnah is going to say that we don't say that. We say Yom. In the Shaina Halachos, it's brought down that this is a Tayas Atfus, and really it should say over here Hayom Arba Asar Yom, the way we typically say it. Shehem Shnei Shavuos, which is 2 weeks ba'Omer. Val derech zeh, and using this style, Mayna v'holech ad arba'im v'tisha yom. We continue counting using this method, so we constantly count the days and the weeks until we cut to the complete 49 days of the Omer. Now let's take a look in the Mishnah Ois Katan Tes. Uvayom Shemini Yomar. On the 8th day, you're going to count again the weeks and the days. You're going to say Hayom Shmoina Yamim, 8 days, Shehem Shavua Echad, which is 1 week, V'yom Echad, and 1 day ba'Omer. Says the Chavetz Chaim, V'im loy amar ela Hayom Shmoina Yamim. Let's say on the 8th day you don't mention the weeks. You only say today is 8 days. V'loy siyem Shehem Shavua Echad. And you don't put in the rest of the clause. You don't say which is 1 week and 1 day in the Omer. Nami Yotza, the Chavetz Chaim says you are Yotza. He brings this down from the Eliyah Rabbah and other Achrayim. He says you are Yotza. Why? Sharei Hizker Shavuos Esmail B'Yom HaShvi. Because what we saw from the pasuk is that you have to mention both days and weeks. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to mention days and weeks every single night. If you counted on the 7th day, if you said Hayom Shiva Yamim Shehem Shavua Echad, so you counted that week already. Now on the 8th day, why do you necessarily have to say Hayom Shmoina Yamim Shehem Shavua Echad V'yom Echad? That week, Shehem Shavua Echad, I already counted it yesterday when it was 7. So I don't necessarily have to say it again. Sharei Hisker Shavuos Esmail B'Yom HaShvi. On the 7th day, I mentioned that that's already 1 complete week. So I don't have to say it again now. V'cheinim loy amar ela hayom shavua echad v'yom echad b'lechod nami yatsa. Also, really, let's say you don't say hayom shmoina yamim. Today is 8 days. Instead, you say hayom shavua echad. Today is 1 week, v'yom echad, and 1 day ba'Omer. He says, then you're also yotza. Sharei kvar hisker hayamim she'avru kol echad b'yomai. Because what are you going to say? You're going to say, well, you didn't count the days. Which days didn't I count? When it was 1 day, I said Hayom Yom Echad. When it was 2 days, I said Hayom Shnei Yomim. When it was 3 days, I said Hayom Shloisha Yomim. So I counted day 1, I counted day 2, I counted day 3, and so on and so on and so on until I got to a full week. When I got to a full week, I said Hayom Shiva Yomim. Today is 7 days, Shem Shavua Echad, which is 1 day ba'Omer. So I counted all of those individual days, one at a time, and then I counted the week. Now on day 8, I say, Hayom Shavua Echad, today is 1 week, V'yom Echad b'Omer, and 1 day in the Omer. What didn't I count? I counted the week. I counted it both today and yesterday. I counted all the individual days 1 through 7, and now I said it's a week v'yom echad. So I'm counting today also. So b'diavad you're yoitza. Now the Chavetz Chaim points out, Omrim shavua echad v'loy achas. We say shavua echad. We use the word echad, not achas. Echad is lashon zachar. Achas is lashon nekeva. Chavetz Chaim says we use over here lashon zachar, not lashon nekeva. V'chein omrim. Similarly, we say shnei shavuos, 2 shavuos, using the word shnei, which is zachar, v'loy shtei, and not shtei, which is nekeva. The shavua lashon zachar, because shavua is a lashon zachar, not a lashon nekeva, so we stay consistent. Ad asara omer yomim. Until we got up to the 10th day, we say yomim. So we say hayom yom echad ba'omer, hayom shnei yomim, plural ba'omer, hayom shloisha yomim ba'omer. But once we get into double digits, from the 11th day and on, omer yom, we say hayom achad asar yom, not achad asar yomim, achad asar yom. Also, it's proper to say hayom achad asar yom, not asara ve'achad. You say the lower number first. Kegain echad ve'esrim yom, not esrim ve'echad yom. However, the Chavetz Chaim says these halachas that I'm telling you now, the proper nusach to use, these are not li'ikuva. These, if you counted it the other way, we're not going to tell you that you have to repeat it. This is just the proper, clear way of using Lashon HaKodesh. And certainly when we're saying an Amira for a mitzvah, we want to say it in the clearest, most beautiful way possible. Okay, then the Mechaber said, V'al derech zeh, using this style, moine v'holich. That's how we continue counting. Says the Mishnah Berurah, nice cut and yud, V'al derech, u'minag loymar achar hasfira. There's a minig to say after the counting of the Omer, Yihi Ratzon Mofanecha Shem Lekeinu V'Lekevisenu Sheipana Beis Hamikdash B'Meher V'Yameinu. Should be the will of the Rabbeinu Shalom that the Beis Hamikdash should be built speedily in our days. V'Sham Navadcha V'Sei Chalkeinu B'Sarasecha. The Rabbeinu Shalom should give us our portion in Torah. V'Sham Navadcha B'Yira Kimei Olam V'Chushanim Kadmonios. And over there in the Beis Hamikdash would be Zaycha to do the Avodah, to serve the Rabbeinu Shalom, like it was in previous days. So we say that he Ratzon after the Sefira, Kalomar, and the Chavetz Chaim says the reason we say this is in order to say, Va'oz nekayim mitzvahs havas ha'omer. You see, this to me is very interesting. I don't know how many people stop and think about something like this. You count Sefiras HaOmer, and you see in the Siddur that there's a very beautiful Yehi Ratzon to say after the Sefira. Why? Why are we saying a Yehi Ratzon asking for the rebuilding of the Beis Hamikdash punkt after the mitzvah of Sefiras HaOmer? What's the connection between Sefiras HaOmer and Binyan Beis Hamikdash? So the Chavetz Chaim tells you, but by telling you this, the Chavetz Chaim, I think, also points out that when you daven, when you do mitzvahs, you have to have an open mind, you have to have open eyes to look and think. Why are we saying this? Why are we doing this? So the Chavetz Chaim points out there's a reason why we say Yehi Ratzon for the Binyan Beis Hamikdash by Sefiras HaOmer. Kalomar, va'oz nekayim mitzvahs havas ha'omer. What are we counting? When we say Hayom Yom Echad ba'Omer, we're counting down the days from the second day Pesach when we brought the Karban Omer until Shavuos, until Kabbalas HaTorah. So says the Chavetz Chaim, what we're saying over here is he's asking a Yehi Ratzon for Binyan Beis Hamikdash because we're counting down from the Omer, but we didn't bring a Karban Omer. So we're asking the Rabbeinu Shalom, give us a Beis Hamikdash so that we should be able to bring the Karban Omer properly. There are those who also have the meaning to say Kapitel Samach Zayin in Tehillim, and that's based on Divrei Soid. That seems to be based on Kabbalah. Now, there's a very nice footnote here in the Dirshu, footnote number 36. So we're talking about the various minhagim, the Yehi Ratzon, different things that we say after the Sefira. It says here in the footnote. There are many that say a l'shem yichud before they count the Omer. So as far as that minig is concerned, and we say in there, l'kayim mitzvahs asay shel Sefiras HaOmer. We say l'shem yichud. We're preparing ourselves and we're making a verbal statement before we're mekayim the mitzvah that we're having kavanah to be mekayim the mitzvah of Sefiras HaOmer, k'moisha kasav b'Torah, as it says in the Torah HaKadoshah, usavartem lachem. So we're making mention of a mitzvah saseh and a pasuk that it comes from in the Torah HaKadoshah. Das Hagoyin Reb Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, Zechet Tzadik v'Kodesh L'Vracha, she'ein bo zech shash b'shum Bal Tosef. You don't have to worry about Bal Tosef. Why is he worried about Bal? Why is he mentioning Bal Tosef? Well, we said that there's a machlokes. Is this counting of Sefiras HaOmer that we do nowadays, is that a daraisa or is that a darabanan? Now, if it's not a mitzvah, if it's not a daraisa bisman hazeh, then how are we making this statement that we're doing it in order to be mekayim a mitzvah saseh based on a pasuk? It sounds very clearly like what we're saying is we're making this counting in order to be mekayim a mitzvah saseh daraisa based on a pasuk in the Torah HaKadoshah. Now, if we do not have such a chiyuv, so then there's a shiloh of Bal Tosef. Says Reb Shlomo Zalman, no. Even though it's true that according to most paiskim, Sefiras HaOmer nowadays only has the status of a derabanan, not a daraisa. Since you could explain that when we say in the L'Shem Yichud that we're doing the counting in order to be mekayim a mitzvah saseh, hainu mitzvah saseh midarabanan. We don't mean a mitzvah saseh daraisa. We mean that it's a darabanan. We're also saying based on the pasuk, and this that we say that we're doing it based on the pasuk in the Torah HaKadoshah, hainu sherabanan tiknu mitzvazu. That's because the Chazal, when they were masakin this mitzvah saseh derabanan of counting sfira when we don't have a Beis Hamikdash, ke'ein masha kasav b'Torah. Certainly they did it as a zecher, and they did it based on the mitzvah saseh daraisa. So yes, when we're doing it nowadays, it's only a derabanan, but we're doing it because Chazal were masakin it, so it's a mitzvah saseh midarabanan, and they did it ke'ein daraisa tikkun. They based it, of course, on the pasuk of the Sefartem Lochem. Meidach, so that's the opinion of Reb Shlomo Zalman. Meidach, on the other hand, b'shalos teshuvas L'Tzion kasav shara yoser shaloi loimer nusach zeh. The shalos teshuvas L'Tzion brings down better not to say this Hashem Yichud. Eloloimar, instead you should say lekayim mitzvahs Sefiras HaOmer, just to be mekayim the mitzvah Sefiras HaOmer. Whatever the mitzvah is, if it's a daraisa, it's a daraisa. If it's a derabanan, a derabanan. But not to say mitzvah saseh shel Sefiras HaOmer k'moisha kasav b'Torah, because that sounds too much like you're saying it's a daraisa. Nevertheless, it's okay to do it. Since we have the opinion of the Rambam, we have the Shitas Rambam who holds that a taki is a mitzvah saseh midaraisa even nowadays, so you can say that nusach. Okay. Okay, let's go weiter in the Mechaber. Well, we finished the Sif. No, we have to do Eis Katan Yud Aleph in the Mishnah Berurah. The Mechaber said, "Va'al derech zeh moine v'haylech," and you continue counting in this style. It says the Chavetz Chaim Eis Katan Yud Aleph zeh kasu ha'achreinim dem amar b'lashon acher. Let's say you used some kind of different nusach when you did the counting. Kigoin, for example, b'yom shloishim v'tisha, on the 39th day, Amar, he said, Hayoim arboim chasar achas. Today is 40 days minus 1. Nami yotza, b'di'evid you're also yotza, because b'di'evid you did do accounting. And I did see in some of the paiskim that bring down, they say you have to realize, even if you count in English, you're also yotza. So b'di'evid, a lot of these kind of lashonos, as long as it's clear that you counted and we can discern from what you said, we can discern the number, b'di'evid you're yotza. Okay. It's an interesting bir halacha here. Dibra maschel boine v'haylech. Ayin ba'achrayim, he says, take a look in the achrayim. Shenechleku, they differ. Be'imana b'roshe tevois. let's say you counted using Rosh Teves. Kegoin she'amar hayoim beis yamim. Instead of saying the number, instead of saying hayoim shnei yamim, you said hayoim beis yamim. Or hayoim lamed gimel yom. On Lag B'Omer, you say hayoim. Everybody calls it Lag B'Omer. So on Lag B'Omer, you said hayoim lamed gimel yom. Is that okay? Because of Achak Yaakov, Kevin de L'Roiv HaPoiskim Iker Sfira B'Zman Hazeh Einoi Elo D'Rabbanan. The Achak Yaakov says, again, we have to realize that according to most Poiskim, the mitzvah Sefiras HaOmer nowadays is only a din D'Rabbanan. Ein lahachmir misveka. We're not going to rule stringently misafik. The yachsa lispar b'li bracha. So you could go ahead and count again, but only without a bracha. We're not going to say that you should count again with a bracha. V'dan, you should know, says the Chavetz Chaim, da'al kol panim in berach b'leiv b'vaday lo yotza klal. Even though we're saying that according to most poskim, this is only the Rabbanan, you're certainly not yotze if you make the bracha b'leiv. If you just think the bracha instead of articulating it. To hear a lav kedibur dami. V'chein kasa prichadash lahedya b'sifav. Okay, now we go to Sif Beis in the Shulchan Aruch. Im ta'u b'yayim hamu'unan. Let's say it was a very cloudy day outside. Now, we're spoiled. We have watches and clocks and cell phones and microwave ovens and everything and computer screens that all have the time on it. But in those days, they didn't have all of those things. So many people judged the time of day simply by looking outside and seeing how light or how dark it was. I grew up, by the way, with my father, Olav Shalom. My father was born in the Carpathian, a small town in the Carpathian Mountains, Salish, now known as, actually now it's known as Vinograd. It was Sevlust and Vinograd. So right now it's called Vinograd, at the base of the Carpathian Mountains. And he told me that he grew up adjusting their schedule by how light, by the season. He said there was seasons when they got up at 4 o'clock in the morning because they got up before nets, and the day started when it got light outside, and they went to sleep early. And then there were times that they were up later, depending on the length of the days. But they operated by the sun, and they didn't operate by clocks. They didn't have electric lights. I think in my father Shalom's house, I think he told me that in the Shabbos Zimmer, they had a Shabbos room, a Shabbos dining room. I think the Shabbos Zimmer had electricity, but the rest of the house didn't have electricity. So, talking about before the war, obviously. If somebody goofed on a cloudy day, and he made the bracha al Sefiras HaOmer, and then he counted, and he didn't realize it wasn't night yet. It was just a very cloudy day. He has to count again when it gets dark. Now let's take a look here at the Mishnah Berurah, nice cut in Yud Beis. What does this mean? Chayzrim lispar. He has to count over again. Hu medivrei Rashba b'tshuvas Siman Kuf Nun Daled. He brings this down from the Tshuvas Rashba. Umavurisham shahakol hispalalu gam ma'ariv kaidim. What happened over here was it was a Yom HaMa'unan. It was a cloudy day, and they thought it was already night, and they actually went to daven ma'ariv already, and then they went and they counted. Olinyan ma'ariv ein lehem lachzar ulehispalel. We don't require them to daven over again. Mishum tercha de tzibura uchedalael reish siman reish samach gimel sif yudalid rak le'inyan svira. But when it comes to counting the Omer, loy mishkachinan betercha didhu. We're not going to exempt you from counting Sefiras HaOmer over again because it's a tercha de tzibura. It's not a big tercha. You just make a bracha and do a count. How could we not require you to count over again? How could you count and say that it's the 10th day of the Omer, but it's really only 9? Because when you counted before nightfall, and it's still the 9th day. So how could you count and say that it's the 10th day and imagine that counting has any efficacy? Of course that counting doesn't work. It's still the 9th day. The 10th day did not begin until Tzeis HaKechavim. Ad kan dvar sham. Those are the words of the Tshuvas Rashba. Now, a nice cut in Yud Gimel, the Chavetz Chaim says, what does this mean? Chayzrim lispar kishetachshach, that he has to go count over again when it gets dark. Lispar kishetachshach ubibracha kadin. You're going to count again with a bracha. So over here so far in Sif Beis, the Mechaber was talking about somebody who goofed and he counted too early in the day. Now the Chavetz Chaim makes the point, and the Chavetz Chaim says, "V'amedaktikim einam seifrim ad tzeis hakechavim." Those are medaktik b'mitzvahs. Those are careful. They want to be mekayim mitzvahs properly. They don't count Sefira until tzeis hakechavim. And the Mechaber says, "V'chein roi lasois," and that is the proper way that you should be noyeg, not to count Sefiras HaOmer until tzeis hakechavim. Says the Mishnah Berurah, nice cut in your daled. V'amedaktikim. What the Mechaber wants to say over here is, really may Ikaradin, says the Chavetz Chaim, there's a good makom, there's a good place to be makel, and to say that you could count Sefiras HaOmer after it's dark, but before it says hakechavim. Why? Because that's the time period that we call ben hashmashos. That's the twilight time period, which is considered a suffix. Suffix yom, suffix laila. Says the Chavetz Chaim, the ben hashmashos who's suffix laila. We know that ben hashmashos is already a suffix laila, and we know the rule of thumb is va'azlina lekula b'suffix derabanan, and we know that by a derabanan, suffix derabanan lekula. So we have over here the twilight time is a suffix derabanan, and the besfira bisman hazeh shu miderabanan l'roiv hapaiskim. Like we keep on saying, according to roiv hapaiskim, the mitzvah of Sefiras HaOmer bisman hazeh is only a din derabanan. So if it's a din derabanan, so we could say ben hashmashos it's suffix yom, suffix laila. We could assume that it's laila and count already during ben hashmashos. Ella, however, to become makaim einoy nachain lahachnis atzmai l'suffix lechatchila. It's true that by a derabanan we say suffix derabanan lekula, but that doesn't mean that by a derabanan you could just go ahead initially and be machnis yourself into a suffix. You're right, we say suffix derabanan lekula, but that doesn't mean, oh, Sefiras HaOmer is only a derabanan, so now I'll be makel and I'll say, yeah, ben hashmashos suffix yom suffix laila, I'll just assume that it's laila. No, b'di'eved we would be makel. But don't be makel initially. Don't be machnis yourself into the suffix for no reason. Therefore, hamedaktikim, those who are careful about their kiyum mitzvahs, mamtinin at tzeis hakechavim, they wait until tzeis hakechavim shehu bevadai laila, which is a time that is certainly night. Ois katan tezvav, the Mechaber said, v'chein roi lasois. This is the proper way to comport yourself. Don't count Sefiras HaOmer until after tzeis hakechavim. What the Mechaber means to say is lechatchila. Lechatchila, you should count after tzeis hakechavim. Nevertheless, b'di'eved, if it's a case of a b'di'eved, in berach ben hashmashos, if you did make the bracha on Sefiras HaOmer during ben hashmashos and you counted, yotza, you are yotza v'chanal. Aval Eliyah Rabbah mefakvik bazeh. The Eliyah Rabbah is not so certain about this. And he rules. He leans towards saying the nachain sheyachzar v'yispar b'tzeis hakechavim b'li bracha. If you counted during ben hashmashos, you should count again after tzeis hakechavim, albeit without a bracha. That's the opinion of the Eliyah Rabbah. Now let's take a look at the Bir Halacha over here. Tzadik Hey Amid Aleph. Dibra maschil v'chein roi lasois. We're speaking over here about the question of counting Sefiras HaOmer during ben hashmashos. So the question that naturally comes up is, when exactly is the time period of ben hashmashos, which is something that we've already discussed numerous times. And here the Bir Halacha reminds us, says the Chavetz Chaim, Ayin b'Mishnah Berurah, take a look in the Mishnah Berurah, where I said the imsiper b'ben hashmashos, that if you counted Sefiras HaOmer during the time period of ben hashmashos, yatza, you do fulfill your obligation. Kain Kasvu Magen Avram. He drew this from the words of the Magen Avram, Usha'are Achrayim, as well as other Achrayim. The Darazem Muzkar Bataisvais Menachais Tav Samach Vav Amid Aleph. Indeed, this really flows from the words of Taisvis and Menachas on Samach Vav Amid Aleph, Dibur Hamaschil Zecher. Now, Umasai Nikra Ben Hashmashos. When is that time period that's called Ben Hashmashos? When does it begin? Ayin Siman Reish Samach Aleph Siv Beis. He sends us back to Reish Samach Aleph. The Das al Shulchan Aruch Sham, where it's the opinion of the Shulchan Aruch over there. The Ben Hashmashos Hu Shloishes Rivei Mil Kaidem Tzeis HaKechavim. The time period of Tzeis HaKechavim begins the time that it takes to walk 3/4 of a mil. That amount of time before Tzeis HaKechavim. Now, the time it takes to travel a mil, we generally assume is 20 minutes. Therefore, 3/4 of a mil. So that's approximately 15 minutes. So you have Tosfos over there. You have the opinion of the Shulchan Aruch, opinion of the Shulchan Aruch, which is that Tzeis HaKechavim begins 15 minutes before Tzeis HaKechavim. So I think most of you probably were listening to this year, and they said, okay, you counted Sefiras HaOmer during Tzeis HaKechavim, during Ben Hashmashos. You assumed that means we counted between Shkia and Tzeis. Over here we have the opinion of the Shulchan Aruch that the time period of Ben Hashmashos really only begins 15 minutes before Tzeis. Umikaydem hevi vada yom, and earlier than that is certainly considered day. Vayin sham b'bir halacha. However, he says, take a look over there in the bir halacha dibra maskil v'shir b'soif hadibur sham, at the end of that bir halacha, where the Chavetz Chaim writes, ta'afilu lahasovrim the Ben Hashmashos maskil miyad achar shkia. Even according to those opinions that Ben Hashmashos does begin immediately after Shkia, Hainu le'inyan Shabbos. That's in the context of Hilchos Shabbos. The Naktinon l'chumra k'Rebbe Yehuda, because then we rule stringently like Rebbe Yehuda that Ben Hashmashos begins right away at sunset, at Shkia. So for Shabbos, we want to be very machmer. I'm going to pause here for a second because you're about to hear the wonderful Staten Island Rapid Transit. Now it's called the Staten Island Railroad. My joke always was that they used to call it the Staten Island Rapid Transit. So we used to say Staten Island Rapid Transit. It's the only train service that I know of where the express and the local run on the same track. So they finally got ahead and they went ahead and they took away the name Staten Island Rapid Transit and they made it the Staten Island Railroad. I have the luxury of having it right behind my house. I don't know if you heard that. So like Lahavdil Elf Alfa Abdullah Shea Stadium. Okay. There's another one coming. This is the one in the other direction is about to come. So we'll let that pass by before I continue in the Bir Halacha. This one's louder. So when do we say that Ben Hashmashos begins right by Shkia? That's in the context of Hilchos Shabbos, where we have to be machmir, and we have to say that Shabbos begins immediately after Shkia. That's when we say that Ben Hashmashos begins right by Shkia. Aval lahakel, but to rule leniently, af b'mili d'Rabbanan, even by Sefiras HaOmer, which we again said according to Rav Paiskim is d'Rabbanan, tzarich iyun, that needs research. Imnucha lahakel, if you could be lenient, the loymar tarte kule, and to say a double kula. Echad dehu ben hashmashos k'Reb Yehuda. One kula is to say that ben hashmashos begins right after Shkia like Reb Yehuda. V'gam desveka d'Rabbanan lekula, and also that Sefiras HaOmer is a d'Rabbanan and Tzavik d'Rabbanan lekula. Kevin de Rabbi Yossi havivada yoim kol azman. Kevin de Rabbi Yossi havivada yoim kol azman. Shemin Shkia ad samach l'teis hakechavim. Since we know that according to Rabbi Yossi, it's vadayim from Shkia until 15 minutes before Tzeis. V'chedarmina b'gemara Shabbos lamed alan beis kachlim ben hashmashos to Rabbi Yehuda. When the ben hashmashos of Rabbi Yehuda is over, maskil ben hashmashos to Rabbi Yossi. That's when the ben hashmashos of Rabbi Yossi first begins. V'tzarich iyun. So the Chavetz Chaim is not so comfortable, right? We said if you counted Sefira ben hashmashos, your Yoitza, it's proper to count it again without a bracha after Tzeis HaKechavim. But the Chavetz Chaim is grappling with this question of when does Ben Hashmashos really begin? Can you say that Ben Hashmashos begins at Shkia, or do you have to be chayshish for the Shita Rabbi Yossi that it only starts a little bit before Tzeis HaKechavim? Okay, thank you so much for joining me for Limud HaTorah. That concludes today's Dirshu. Me'ez Hashem, we'll pick up tomorrow with Tzadikei with Beis, Sif Gimel. Be well.